Hi, welcome to the channel. Today we're going how to change your rear sprocket on your motorcycle wheel. So let's go through the tools you'll need. I've got a ratchet, 17mm socket, some Loctite. I've gone for the blue one again. You don't need the red for this. I've got a torque wrench, and I've got some new sprockets. The rear ones are 42 tooth. This front one's a 47 tooth. And the one that's on the wheel is a 45 tooth. So they're the tools. Let's get started. Right, let's get started. Now what I find is these nuts, these are torque down. I'll come to that in a bit. But what I find is that they are quite hard. Now before you take it off the bike, your wheel, if you're going to change your sprocket, just give these a crack open while it's on the bike, because they are quite tight. Don't forget, lefty loosey, righty tighty. And I am taking these off in the criss-cross pattern. I'm sure you'll correct me on that last one, because I didn't do that. And all I'm doing, I'm just going to loosen them all off. Now make sure when you're getting your sprockets, you do get the correct one for your bike, because they're not universal. Now, so I don't get mixed up, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put these on the actual rim of the wheel, and it's just an indicator where it's going to go back. So I'll put that one there, that one there, that one on that side, and that side. That way I know, I just find it easier in my head. Now they don't forget, they don't all have washers. Some do, some don't. So just make sure you get all the washers. I'll drop one through, about right. And then your sprocket just comes off. So that is a 45 tooth. If you just look there, tells you it's a 45. Now I'll come on to sprockets and what they do later on, just for the simple reason, it's all on preference. Now before I put a new sprocket on, while you've got it in this position, just give it a clean. If you keep on top of stuff like this, your bike will last longer, you'll get better performance, you won't damage anything. And all I'm doing, I'm just clearing any gunk that's got in there over the years. You can give it a full clean. Let me just get a quick wipe and I'll show you what I mean. You can even, if you're real buff, you can clean it fully, get every single bit of crap off it. But the main part I'm trying to look after is these bolts. That's what I'm trying to clean. I'm trying to make it so that the thread, if there's any Loctite still on it, I've just cleaned it off. Any bits of rust that are showing, which there is a line showing on these, to be honest. And making sure that these bottom parts here, they're clean. There's nothing going to stop the new sprocket from sitting correctly. So I'm going to put the same sprocket on, but I have got other sprockets which I'll talk about. And it's literally because this is a rear tyre, but it's got my wets on. And in the rain, I don't want a large sprocket on because I need to be able to control it. So I have a 45. The bike as standard comes as a 45 rear and a 17 front. So on the front of the bike, it'd be a 14 rear, 45 rear, 17 front. I'll get there eventually. Right, before I start putting nuts on, I want to put the smallest bit of Loctite. And legit, all I ever do, I just put one dab. One dab on the threads. Now this is the blue one. If you use the red one comes off with heat. This is just a medium. So this one will just come off using a ratchet. Don't forget your washers if it's got washers. Not all of them have washers. Now, don't forget where you put the nut. So that nut was from there, that one's from there. And also, while you're doing this, now let's just have a look at one of these. You can see that's the end that goes onto the sprocket, but you can see here it's got them little indentations there. Obviously make sure it's facing up. Some of the times they're nylon, so if it's got a nylon on the outside, put the nylon facing up. What the nylon actually does, it stops water from getting inside. So I'm just tightening these up roughly, just by hand. Right, then I'll come to tightening. Now tightening is righty-tighty, so you turn it to the right. When you're tightening it, do it from, start from one position. So I've done that one, do a cross from it. So that's that one. And then you can either choose whichever one you want to do. So I'm going to go to that one, which then means I do that one. That one, and then that should be the last one. Now by doing it that, what you're doing, you're seating the sprocket flat. So if you did a round, the sprocket could be on a slant. So by doing it crisscross, what you'll do is you'll keep it seated. Now you do have to torque these up. So the torque for this is a Yamaha R1. The torque is 80 to 90 Newton meters or 60 to 65 foot-pound, depends on which one you use. Now I have already set this, so but because it doesn't give you an exact, it says 80 to 90. So I've actually set this at 85 Newton meters. And all I'm going to do, same process, start from one point. That's it, click, go across, straight across from it. Click. So that's all of them torqued. What I will say is, just go over again, because you never know, while you've tightened one up, it might have just made one sit up. So it's just me in my head, and I always like double check. I'd rather double check it while it's off here than while it's on bike and it actually comes off. So that is how you change your sprocket. I've left it on the wheel to make it easier. Now we'll talk about the different sizes of sprockets. So when it comes to understanding sprockets, now this is our front sprocket. So that's on our final drive of our transmission. And this is your rear sprocket, which is on your wheel. Right. Now, these are 17 teeth. That's the standard on a Yamaha R1. These are upgrades. So a 47 tooth, and that's a 42 tooth. Now, a normal is 45 rear and a 17 front. That's your normal. Now, how sprockets work, you can either go down on the front or up on the front, down or up on the rear. Now, it's totally your choice, but all it does, it alters how the bike accelerates or if it's top speed. What I will say is, the normal one, 45, 17, if you go up to a 47 on the rear and keep your 17, what that'll give you is acceleration. So what it means is you'll probably end up wheeling more. And it's because you've put an extra 2 teeth on the back. The sprocket on the front is going at the same speed from what it's always done, because that's the standard. But because you've upped the teeth on the back, it'll drag more teeth round, which makes your wheels spin faster. Whereas if you go to a 42, what you've done is you've then made it slower on acceleration, but you actually get a better top speed with that one. What you've got to be careful here is, if you put the 47 on, and I've actually done this one, Because I changed from a 190 rear tyre, I went to a 200 tyre, and if I think that were a 55 and that was a 60, what happened were, because I put a 47 tooth on, the actual chain became too tight. So what happened was, with the 200, it was actually touching the inside of the swing arm. Now we're just getting the smallest line on my tyre where it was rubbing against the actual inner side of the swing arm where the suspension is. Your best option on this one, instead of using a 47, use your 45 tooth, but on your front sprocket, drop down to a 16 tooth. Your chain then in reality gets longer, so you've got a bit more space, so you can fit your 200 tyre on. And all this equates to, now what happens is your front sprocket, because it's got one tooth less, spins faster teeth wise than your 17. So that 16, if you put that to a 16, that gives you acceleration. Now if you drop one on the front, that normally equates to adding 2 on the rear. So if you put a so you get -1 on the front, but that actually equates to +2 on the rear. So it's like doing your 47, but you'll have your chain length and you won't have the rubbing of the bigger tyre on your actual bike. On your 42, what you've got to watch for is if your chain's too long. I do believe you can get an 18 on your front, but then it's going to go slower because it's taking longer to actually go round. So people normally either keep a 17, go down to a 42. You can get a 42, 43, 44. You can get every single size sprocket that you wish, and it's finding what works best for you. I find on the R1 a 16 front and a 45 rear works best because you get great acceleration and you keep an average top speed. I've never ever gone down to a 42 or a 43. I've used a 44 but never a 42 or a 43. By doing your front sprocket's probably your most common one. Your quickest is your rear, I will say that. But even by upping these, they give you acceleration. They're wheelies. I hope that's give you a little understanding on sprocket sizes. This, don't get me wrong, this is just for the R1. For other bikes, it works the same principle, but you've got to find what ratios work better on them ones. Well, I hope that helped you with sprockets, how to change your sprocket, and I hope I've given you a little bit of information how to understand by changing your sprockets, what it does, either more speed, more top end, acceleration wise. If you like this video, if it's helped you out, give us a subscribe, give us a like. Catch you later.